Hi, I'm former NFL quarterback Gus Frerotte. I played quarterback 15 years in the NFL. This is my show called Huddle Up with Gus. Each week I team up with my longtime friend Dave Hager, and we talk with guests about how sports shape their lives. Pro athletes, business executives, community leaders, everyone has a story to tell about sports. We invite you to Huddle Up with Gus. This week in the Huddle.
During his senior season at North Hills High School, this Whippeal legend managed to lead his team to the state championship and earn the coveted honor of Player of the Year. Although scholarship offers beckoned from near and far, this hometown hero chose to represent the city he loves by staying right here in the Burgh and playing for Pitt. After finishing his college career at Pitt, this competitive natural-born leader didn't have to go far to find success. In 2017, he delivered a state championship as head coach of the Pine-Richland Rams. Please welcome into the huddle, Eric Kasperowicz.
Right now we're going to get in the huddle with my partner Dave here, and we got a great guest on. Dave, why don't you introduce our guest today, because I think you tell the story the best.
Well, we're going to get into his high school exploits, which I talked to Gus about him. This might sound weird, but we actually had a long discussion about him over some beers the other day. But I've known Eric now for maybe 8 or 9 years. He and my brother-in-law coached together at Pine-Richland football. Eric's had tremendous success as a coach at Pine-Richland. And we're going to hear today, his roots, where he started, how he began with sports, and where it's taken him now.
So in the huddle with us today is Eric Kasperowicz, Whippeal Hall of Famer, head coach at Pine-Richland. So thanks for joining us today in the huddle.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. Awesome city of Pittsburgh, and like you said, just kind of, what we're all about here. I mean, I think Pittsburgh's a special place. You always hear people, from Pittsburgh end up coming back, and I never left. I born and raised, grew up in Pittsburgh. I went to Pitt, had some opportunities to leave, and ultimately, stayed here. So I've been here all my life, and excited to talk about it.
You got a little better Pittsburgh accent than Dave and I think. So.
Well, I have more of an Arizona accent.
Does Arizona even have an accent?
It's transient. They don't even have one. But, yeah.
So Eric, one of the things we always like to ask and start with is what was that influence early for you for sports? Was it your father or your brother, an idol you had that you used to watch all the time?
Yeah, definitely my family, my father. At a young age, instilled just some good values, and not just myself, my brother and my sister. We're always outside, and he was an athlete in high school, so he was always out catching ball, and we're out in the yard, or heck, when we moved out this way, we actually grew up in Avalon, Bellevue, Avalon, which is the Northgate School District. When I was in 6th grade, moved to the North Hills School District, and just always instilling kind of those values of getting outside and playing. And I think that's something a lot of these kids nowadays lose. It's so structured and so overcoached and over-taught that these kids just don't go out and play anymore. And I know some people say it, but I really, really push out on my kids nowadays, not just my own personal kids, but even my players. There's times where we'll go out to practice, and we'll get into this a little bit, but just go play. Just go pick up your game yourself and figure things out, solve problems on your own. And so getting back to my original point, my father and my mother really just urged us to get outside and be active, and developed a love with sport growing up. Going to, being in Pittsburgh, City of Champions, so going to Pirate games and Steeler games and Penguin games, and just kind of, grew up through high school that way. And then being in an awesome high school as North Hills, back in the 80s, they were one of the top programs in the country.
Yeah.
They won it all in 87, right?
Yeah, mythical. There was no win it all back
USA
then.
Today, right?
Yeah, but they did what they could back then. It was based on reputation and number of kids going to college, and so they won the mythical USA Today National Championship in 1987, and I was a ripe 6th grader at the time, looking up to those guys. They were like my idols, and I'm going to do that one day, and that's kind of where it all started.
One of my college.
I was going to ask. There's still a sign. I remember that 87.
Yep. Yeah. So that's still up when you enter the couple different areas where you enter Ross and Westview, and it's still there. And actually, when I played and we won the state, they actually put a little addition on the bottom of that. But it's a cool thing to have in a small little. You talk about these big districts now out east and across the country. Just a small little area of Westview and North Hills to have the success that they had back in the day was pretty special.
Yeah, one of my college roommates and guys I played with, Mark Lasky, was on that. He was a sophomore.
Oh, okay.
You know, 'cause
On that
we
team?
graduated high school in '89. Yeah, he was on that team. So I don't know how much he played or whatever, but he was a lineman. He played with me at Tulsa. So we always called him the Heat Miser. Yeah, so I don't know why, but
He looked like a pro wrestler, if I remember correctly. He had that long,
I think he
long
rides
blonde
around
hair.
a lot now. So he was he was a roommate of mine for quite a few years. So you know, one of the things you talked about was going out and playing. Like, kids don't do that today. You don't see kids just pounding a basketball courts or in some empty field. Did you do that? Who was like your competitor that you know?
My older brother. I had an
older
older
brother?
brother 2 years above me that, you know, I just constantly lost to all my life at everything, whether it was checkers or horse in the backyard or pick up football, and then, you know, I just wanted to beat him and anything we did, and we always competed. It was good. He's still my best friend to this day, and you know, just kind of following his lead, and eventually as I grew up I was able to beat him in some things, and then just, you know, the core group of friends when we got to school and hanging out and just being active and getting out and doing things on our own. And like I said, I think the big thing is we figured out things on our own. You know, everything's so structured and so coached. You know, you got to go to this personal trainer to do this for 3 times a week for, you know, an hour. And I guess there's a place for all that, you know, maybe when you get older, but as a kid, as a high school kid and definitely a middle school age kid, you need to go out and figure it out yourself. You know, what you're good at, what pushes your buttons, how you can, you know, push yourself in different ways.
Right.
You know?
Well, even making do with what is available in terms of fields and stuff. We were talking to a guest before about creating wiffle ball fields and stuff. I was telling him I still look for wiffle ball fields. When I'm driving, I'm going, hey, you know what, that make a good wiffle ball field.
I don't know what kids play wiffle ball anymore. You know what I mean? I never see it.
Remember, home run derby, take the wiffle ball, go to the field and crank it over the fence.
Yeah, and
Never
it'd be
see
like
it.
a nice set of hedges, and you go, oh, that'd be sweet to
Yeah,
clear that.
exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So how much do you think like all the different sports that you played when you were a kid helped you when you got older? Like, I think that multiple sports help kids a lot.
Tremendously. And I had my parent meeting the other night with up at Pine-Richland with my parents, and I'm a big proponent of multiple sport athletes. You know, I want guys that obviously are bought into football, but I want guys that are active in other sports. They're coached by other people, right? They're oftentimes your best